In the middle of a brutal summer heat wave, when the water is pushing 85 to 90 degrees, a lot of anglers make the same mistake. They burn their lures as fast as they can, thinking they need to trigger a reaction strike. But the bass are often sitting there, watching the lure go by without committing. After 30 years of fishing through these conditions, from farm ponds to big reservoirs, I've learned that the reason isn't always the lure choice or the location. It's often because we're ignoring how temperature changes the way bass use energy. I'm Travis from Green Valley Anglers, and in this video, I'm going to break down the science of bioenergetics and exactly why bass become less willing to chase fast-moving lures during extreme heat. Once you understand this, you'll know when to slow down, when to speed up, and how to match your retrieve to what the fish are actually capable of doing. These fish are cold-blooded, which means their body temperature matches the water around them. As water temperature rises, their internal processes speed up. This is called the Q10 effect in physiology. For most fish, including largemouth bass, metabolic rate roughly doubles for every 10-degree increase in temperature up to a certain point. In normal summer conditions, around 75 to 80 degrees, bass are active and can afford to chase prey or lures because their energy budget allows it. But once water temperatures climb into the mid-80s and above during a heat wave, everything changes. Their metabolism is running very high, which means they need more oxygen and more food just to maintain basic functions. At the same time, warm water holds less dissolved oxygen. This creates a situation where bass have high energy demands but limited oxygen to fuel activity. As a result, they become much more conservative with their energy. They avoid unnecessary movement and prefer to ambush prey rather than chase it over long distances. Studies on largemouth bass physiology show that swimming performance and endurance drop significantly at these higher temperatures because the fish quickly build up an oxygen debt. This is why you'll often see bass in heat waves either suspending in the thermocline or tucked tight to deep cover instead of roaming open water. When bass are in this high metabolism state, their behavior shifts toward energy conservation. They still need to eat, but they're much more selective about when and how they expend energy to catch something. A fast-moving lure that requires a long chase becomes a bad investment for them. It costs too much energy relative to the potential reward, especially if oxygen is limited. This is why reaction strikes become less common during the hottest parts of the day in a heat wave. The fish aren't necessarily uninterested in eating, they're just unwilling to burn the energy required to run down a lure that's moving too quickly. They'd rather wait for an easy meal that comes close enough for a short burst. I've seen this pattern play out many times on my home lake during July and August heat waves. Early in the morning, when the water is a few degrees cooler, bass will chase faster presentations. But once the surface temperature climbs and the sun gets high, those same fish that were aggressive at dawn will ignore a fast crankbait or spinnerbait and only commit to a slow-moving jig or swimbait that stays in their strike zone longer. The practical takeaway is that your retrieve speed should match the bass's willingness to expend energy. In extreme heat, slower presentations generally outperform fast ones during the middle of the day. A slow-rolled spinnerbait, a dragging football jig, or a slow-swimming swimbait gives the fish time to decide without requiring a long chase. There are times when you can still use faster retrieves successfully, but you have to adjust when and where you do it. Low light periods at dawn and dusk are usually better for faster presentations because the water is slightly cooler and oxygen levels are higher near the surface. At night, bass often become more willing to chase because they feel safer moving into shallower water under darkness. On windblown banks or areas with current, you can sometimes get away with slightly faster retrieves even in the heat because the moving water brings in more oxygen and the bass don't have to work as hard to stay comfortable. The key is reading the conditions and adjusting your speed instead of using the same retrieve all day long. One of the biggest mistakes I see is anglers continuing to fish fast all day long during a heat wave because that's what worked in May or June. Once the water gets into the upper 80s, that approach stops producing consistent bites. Another common error is fishing too shallow during the hottest hours. Bass will often move deeper or tighter to heavy cover to find more stable temperatures and better oxygen. A third mistake is ignoring the difference between morning, midday, and evening. Many anglers fish the same way at 2 p.m. that they did at 7 a.m. and then wonder why the bite died. The fish haven't stopped feeding, they've just changed how much energy they're willing to spend and where they're willing to spend it. On your next trip during a summer heat wave, start by checking the water temperature at different depths. Look for the thermocline if it exists, because that's often where bass will stage in more comfortable conditions. During the middle of the day, focus on slower presentations around deep structure, deep grass edges, or shaded areas. Save your faster retrieves for early morning, late evening, or areas with wind or current. Pay attention to how the fish respond. If you're getting follows but no commitments on a fast lure, slow down dramatically or switch to a lure that stays in the strike zone longer. Small adjustments in retrieve speed based on the actual conditions will usually produce more bites than changing lures constantly. July and August heat waves don't have to be tough if you understand how temperature affects bass metabolism and energy use. When the water gets hot, bass become more conservative with their energy. They still eat, but they prefer easier meals that don't require long chases. Match your retrieve speed to that reality. Fish the right depths at the right times, and you'll catch more bass than most people expect during the hottest part of the year. If this helped explain why your fast retrieve stopped working in the heat, drop a comment and let me know what patterns you're seeing on your lake right now. I read and reply to every comment. Subscribe to Green Valley Anglers for more science-backed strategies that actually work in real conditions. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next video, and share this with someone who's struggling in the summer heat. Tight lines out there. Travis, signing off.